are diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name's Dion Miller, and I am your host today. Welcome to Friday night. Instead of going out, hitting them bars with our paycheck, and sit down and listen to a little bit of recovery. Maybe you're on your way home from work. Maybe you're hanging out with the wife, whatever it is that you're doing. We want to welcome Patricia to the show. I've been friends with Patricia for a little bit on Facebook. So I've never actually met Patricia because of coronavirus, Zoom world. But I've gotten to know her a little bit through Facebook, and we go to some of the same meetings. Last week, there were some things that she said that just hit me. I'm like, this is a good speaker. So I asked her to come on, and here we are. Patricia, thank you very much for taking your time and coming on here to tell your story for us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Dion. I love watching your shows. They inspire me, and your guest speakers they hit home. So I'm really grateful to be a part of your show today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think the reason that we do that is because, and I don't even like saying it this way, we take the normal people. You're not going to see very many popular people on my show. They all have ways. What I want are the people that don't get a chance or maybe feel uncomfortable doing it, and I can bring them on and help them with that. That's who I like to talk to. Yeah. So, but the way that this works is, sure, I'm the host of the show, but it's not my show. This is the Patricia R show today. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up and let you get started. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, my name is Patricia, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. I am I'm going to be 38 this year.
Oh.
Yeah. I got 2 kids and a husband, and I love my life today.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love my family, and it wasn't always that way. Of course, we're going to get into all this stuff that led up to this beautiful life that I have now.
And you guys don't get to see what I get to see. All right. Patricia's glowing right now. Her eyes are all bright and shiny, and she's glowing like this orange. You got like an orange going on. So you must be pretty excited. Yeah. But it's beautiful, guys. I'm sorry you can't see it, but I guess it's good to be the host. So I didn't mean to interrupt that, but I want people to know that, man, you're just glowing today. So, and that comes from spirituality. It's the only way people get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And spending time with God, my higher power, and just having him do what he wants me to do. That's how I get to live my life today.
So simple.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way though, was it? What was your first drink like?
Oh, my first drink.
If that's your drug of choice.
Yes, I'm an alcoholic. And anytime I would put booze into my body, then the whole party would start. I would just do anything went. Mm-hmm. But my first drink, I was 12.
Okay.
And I had skipped school. I had invited a friend over, and we were going to skip school together. She invited some boys over.
Okay.
You can see where this is going.
Of course
they brought over tequila, and I was trying to be like, cool in the gang.
Sure.
And I filled up a beer mug full of tequila and drank it. And I ended up blacking out. Mm-hmm. And I was 12 at the time. I ended up blacking out. My friends that were with me, didn't know what to do with me. They tried to feed me a hoagie roll, and I just ended up vomiting, and they left me there on my back.
Oh, no.
My mom came home, and my dad came home, and the music was blaring, and they found me laying on the floor. That's when I had my out-of-body experience.
Okay.
I don't really like to talk about that a lot, but it's part of my story. And
okay.
And so, yeah, my mom was trying to sit me up in the doorway, and she would smack my face. And every time she would like smack me and shake me to try to jolt me out of my unconsciousness. I remember seeing her face, and then I would zoom back out of it.
Okay.
But I woke up in the hospital, and I was covered in charcoal. I had thrown up charcoal, and that was my first experience. And knowing that, I just thought, well, I'll just not do that. I'll do something different.
I'll just stay away from tequila.
Yeah, I'll stay away from tequila, and I did.
Yeah, and I need to point out why you guys, if you're going to end up leaving your friend like that, at least put them on their side.
Oh man. Because
if somebody is throwing up and you put them on their back, I mean, this is how Jimi Hendrix died. He asphyxiated on his own vomit.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, at least put the person on their side.
Yeah.
If you're going to walk away like a jerk, then at least try and save their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tragic.
You're lucky.
Oh yeah, I am very, very lucky. And God does, that incident has made me realize that God has a purpose in my life. And, yeah, they brought in the friend that was with me, and she was in tears because I woke up in the hospital and she was in there.
Okay.
And the parents had brought her like, look, if this is what happens when you drink.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget her face. She was standing scared in the corner. I was unconscious for 10 hours. So I'm lucky that I came back out of that. My blood alcohol is 0.275.
For first time drinking?
Yeah, for first time drinking. So that was my first experience with alcohol. And I remember, both my parents were alcoholics.
Okay.
My mom had remarried when I was 5, so I grew up with my stepdad, and I call him Dad. He's a recovered alcoholic, by the way.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I think 24 years.
Wow.
I can't remember, but he's in recovery, and he's amazing now.
That's
but
cool.
Back then he was a raging alcoholic. My mom was a raging alcoholic. Let me turn this off. Oops. Okay. I would sneak beers, and we had a fridge in our basement, and I would put the beers behind the fridge.
Okay.
My mom heard a rattling one day, like, what is that noise? And moved the fridge, and all kinds of beers came down. And I just became a drinker because it was there.
Yeah.
And I could sneak it, and my parents didn't really know what was going on because they were oblivious.
Yeah, my mom was a drinker too. That's how I got my alcohol. And she just thought she was drinking more. She didn't know that I was taking it.
Right.
Yeah. She'd pass out in her bed. I would walk into her bedroom, reach under her bed, grab 2 beers, go watch Taxi. So.
Yeah, that was my childhood as well. My mom was frequently, the cops were over at our house, or my mom would be getting taken away in an ambulance. She would call herself. She would just exhibit really bizarre behavior constantly. We never had anybody over at the house.
Yeah.
I was the only child. So that made it harder, I think.
Yeah.
There was nobody to relate to, like, man, this really sucks. Hey, don't you think, brother or sister? There was none of that. And there's only so much you can blame on the dog.
Yeah.
So, it was really hard growing up by myself. So that just naturally led me down the path of destruction and kind of just doing rebelliousness and doing whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
I just stuck around with the oddball, just people, the remnant of society. I would just hang around with people. But I was taken out of my home when I was 12. And I went into about 30 placements from the time I was 12 until I was 21.
Wow.
I eventually just got into my own trouble because I got sick of the system.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. And
I think it's so unfair to put a child away who has not done anything wrong
into the system. Yeah. It's
wrong.
Yeah. It's really terrible. It was awful growing up. And then, the system would say, oh, you can go home in this amount of time. And then that amount of time would come.
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
It didn't happen because, I was waiting for both my parents to get their act together. And just my dad eventually got his act together when I was 17.
Okay.
By then my mom had stolen the car and a couple $1,000s and ran and took off. And then my dad decided he was going to get a divorce from my mom.
Okay.
I was still in the system. I was in so many placements that the state of Colorado would not facilitate me anymore. They sent me to Iowa. And I finished my time out in Iowa, then came back and was going to go to a group home. Even though I was 18, the system can in Colorado can keep you until you're 21.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was 18 and going to another group home. My mom had developed cirrhosis of the liver. Her esophagus was worn down. Her eyes were bulging out from alcohol. And they were trying to drain fluid from her and draining like two liters at a time. It was just swelling and swelling. She couldn't filter any liquids anymore. And eventually she just ended up doing herself in on Christmas.
Okay.
So she committed suicide, and I believe with pills and alcohol, and just did herself in on the last day. My family doesn't like to talk about it, but I really connected the dots.
Yeah. I think, you and I understand where she's at.
Yeah.
I just never had the guts to actually follow through on it, but I always prayed to God to do it for me, and he wouldn't. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, but good on you for being able to talk. We need to be able to talk about those. And it's still going to hurt, but if we recognize it and we know that we're doing something about it, then we can help other people.
Right.
And that's why we share it.
Yeah. I love it. And, I was at an AA meeting when my mom was in the hospital. I don't know how my aunt found the meeting that I was at. Mm-hmm. My aunt lives in Canyon City, and I was in Pueblo at the time. Okay. I don't know how she found the AA meeting that I was at, but she found the AA meeting that I was at. Okay. The AA, it was an Alano club that I was at. Yeah. And they said, hey, Trish, you got a phone call. And I was in the middle of a meeting. And then I got the phone call. Your mom's in the hospital. I went back to the meeting and I said, I just wanted to share that this disease kills. My mom is, in the hospital right now. And they tried to save her, but she was just way too far gone. Mm-hmm. The ladies that were in the AA meeting went with me. They said, you know what, we're going to bring the meeting to you. And I never forgot that.
That's what I love about women in AA. Yes. I got to say, you women in AA right now, you guys got us beat, man. You really do. There's a lot of more women coming into the program right now. A lot more. And their sobriety is fantastic.
I love it. I agree with you. And that's the thing that saved my butt. We want to jump ahead to where I'm at now. I sat down in a meeting this go around, and old timer said, what are you going to do different? Because, I was a frequent relapser, and I've just done this merry-go-round over and over and over again. But he said, what are you going to do different? And I really had to think about that. Mm-hmm. I didn't really have an answer for him, but I thought about it. And I realized that I was so closed off from women and then closed off from men. I had been sexually abused starting at 3 years old by one of my uncles. So I was really closed off about having a relationship with men or women, just anybody in general. I just hated people.
Commitment and intimacy, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought about it. What am I going to do different? And I started going to women's meetings,
Absolutely.
and connecting with women, and that saved my butt. It shed off all of the, bad relationships that I had growing up and just throughout life. And it allowed me to develop new relationships with women that were healthy.
Yeah.
And the mommy and daddy issues that I had, I feel like were healed by the connections that I made with these women. And these
Wow.
women, they were,
Yeah.
I feel like I connected because a lot of us have the same issues and the same upbringing. And
Yeah.
when we sit down and talk, like you're doing these podcasts, which I think is wonderful, it gets people talking, and we get to share our pain, and pain shared is pain divided.
And I would say, I don't think that, well, number one, if females weren't in recovery, I wouldn't have a podcast because 90% of my speakers are female. I actually have to chase men down to come on because they don't want to talk about their feelings. They're intimidated. They're whatever. So, but with that, you found, what girls always say on here is, I never got along with other women. I hear that on every podcast. And then it turns out what you're talking about, this is what happens. Then they actually start meeting women in recovery and they change. Yeah. They don't just change, but you guys, it's emotional recovery. And that's what you guys do so well that I think men kind of tend to miss. You guys have that emotional sobriety, which I'm big on. I'm very big on emotional sobriety. I think that's the big difference.
It's important. Yeah, it's really important. Emotional, spiritual. Those are all important things, man. But I agree with you. The women in this program just took me by the hand and showed me the way. It opened up the gates for me to be able to really dig into this program. Mm-hmm. And I love that. That created such a solid foundation for me because like
awesome.
I had, mommy, daddy issues.
Yeah.
And it just to have a real solid relationship with a woman that wasn't going to screw me over. It wasn't,
and don't forget the abandonment stuff too.
Yeah. Right.
That plays a big part in it there.
That was so huge. And I think that's key. I did have abandonment issues from my mom. And just having a nourishing, healthy relationship with women in this program has made so much of a difference in my life. And I have wonderful relationships with women now. And it has helped me to be a better woman, have more confidence in myself. I feel like it's just turned me into a better woman. I thought about what the guy said, and I started going to meetings and to women's meetings, and that rocked my world. And then it set me on fire, and I wanted to give back immediately as soon as I started feeling the change in my life. As soon as God took me and this go around, and he said, I came to the realization that I can't put alcohol into my body anymore because I create chaos or death every time I take alcohol and put it into my body. Something horrible happens. And once I realized that, it was so freeing. And and then I had such loving relationships with women in the program. I just wanted to explode with AA to the world. I was so happy. And I created Stay Sober Colorado. I thought there's got to be a way for people to connect.
It's a good outlet. Facebook groups are fantastic outlets for what we do. Yeah.
I love it. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do without connecting online with people, especially through COVID. I think COVID kind of really all taught us how to connect online. And so I'm grateful for COVID for that.
I don't think I would be where I'm at if COVID would have happened.
Wow, that is so cool.
Well, before COVID happened, I was doing this. So I had bought I have PTSD, anxiety. We only have one car. So I'm at home pretty much all day, every day, which I'm fine with. That doesn't bother me. So I had to learn how to be able to reach out and do meetings, 12 stepping and all this stuff virtually. So when COVID happened, you guys came into my world and I loved it. I can hit more meetings. I can hit 2 meetings a day now.
Yeah.
My sobriety's better. I'm helping more people. And since I did that, I had a lot more practice with coming on, going live, and I was able to help people get through. For the first couple months, I spent helping people learn how to live by themselves or with other people without murdering each other.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah, that is hard.
a lot of letting go, letting God. Yard work, man. Go put on some music. Go do some yard work. Do something yourself, man. There's lots of things that you can do. It's just whether you're willing to do them or not.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the key, willingness. That's the whole key. Like what lengths are we willing to go to in order to keep the beautiful life that we have? It's what we put into our sobriety is definitely what we're going to get back out of it. And I've seen that happen. It's beautiful. It's beautiful just to watch what I put into my recovery come back out in another way and form and take life. It's in ways that, because we're alcoholics and addicts are highly intelligent people. Yeah.
We're very, very good at making things up. So we couldn't even dream of the things that happen. The dividends that I get for the work that I do is not monetary. I don't make money off the podcast. No, what I get is, hey, Dion, I heard that podcast and it made my day.
Yeah.
Hey, Dion, I heard you say this and that really helped me out that day. Mm-hmm. Those are the dividends that I get. Hey, Dion, guess what? I get to see my daughter for the first time in 5 years. That's what I fucking love to hear. That's the stuff that makes my day. Because there's no amount of money in the world that can provide you with that. Only love and God.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Watching scales fall off of people's eyes and them being able to see what life really is instead of, I remember being so shut down and just and depressed and dark and unconnected from everything and wanting to, God, please kill me, or or wanting to try and kill myself, and I was at the jumping off place that the big book talks about. That's where I left off in my alcohol career. So if I go back, that's where I go back to, is the jumping off place. Well,
and I mean, alcohol is slowly killing us anyway. So I think drinking is suicide on the installment plan anyway.
Yes, it is. It is definitely.
So you kind of hit it, but was there a particular time and when you said, okay, or was there a situation that happened that said, I'm done. I don't want this anymore?
Yeah. Right before I had actually quit, I was having such a hard time. There was a lady in my building.
Okay.
Who was like real hardcore lady. I love her to death. But she said, you call me every day until you get yourself a sponsor.
Okay.
And
so she was hardcore AA.
Yeah, but she wasn't like affiliated with AA, but she was a women's advocate. She works in women's advocacy.
Got it.
And she had gotten clean from, I think, heroin. Heroin was her drug of choice, but she just knew that I was struggling and trying to get clean, and so I just had her as an accountability partner, which is so important. I think
it is.
At the beginning, we need to be able to tell somebody our lies, our BS, all of that. We need to be able to be open with somebody and be accountable to somebody. And early recovery. I think that's so important. So that was my person. And she had caught me trying to jump off a building one day and had grabbed me, and she was like, I love you, Trish. Like, this is not you.
Yeah.
I know this isn't who you are. And I know you can do better than this. And her just reaching in, and I don't really know many people that can get my attention when I'm at that kind of mindset where like, fuck you, get away from me.
Yeah. Everybody's the enemy.
Yeah, and everybody's the enemy. And she just swooped me up and held me and was like, this isn't you. And I know it isn't you. I love you. And if you need me, I'm here. And I separated from my husband for a while. And then I started going to the Dragon's Den. I was just like, I just need to go to a meeting. And for some reason, God led me to the Dragon's Den. And I love that place. It feels like Narnia when I go there. I love that place.
I love the Dragon's Den. Yes.
Yes.
I'm very, very grateful to the Dragon's Den. After my mom got out of treatment, that was her home group. So I'm grateful for that. And it was that group that ruined my drinking career. I wasn't happy with them then. My first meeting was in 1984 at the Dragon's Den. I was
the year
14.
after I was born.
Well, she took me to Alateen. They had Alateen over there too.
Wow.
So I did hit EAA meetings with her, but then she wanted me to go to Alateen. None of the other kids had to go though. I was the only one because, my personality, you could see right through it. But I'm grateful for it because those meetings taught me where to go when I was going to be ready at 19. It also taught me that if I got anywhere close to drugs, I was dead. So I avoided a lot of drugs and a lot of heartache because of that. So that's why those are a couple of reasons. The other reason I'm grateful for Dragon's Den is it produced a man by the name of Ray Hayworth, who started the Phoenix concept. And he was my first sponsor.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. I've been to the Phoenix concept. Now that's down off of 23rd in Lawrence, right?
2162 Lawrence Street.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's now government controlled. It's controlled by Stout Street. Okay, and Ray would roll over in his grave if he knew that. So,
wow.
So, yeah. Well, the whole point of the Phoenix concept was that it supported itself, just like an AA group. It was autonomous, and it worked. It worked very well. but those days are over. You can't go back to glory days. It doesn't work like that. So,
well, I'm glad I got a piece of the Phoenix concept when it was in its true state.
Yeah. I was the fourth person to go through. So, I am dating myself badly here. So you went into the Dragon's Den, and so obviously something happened to you. Is that when that old timer got a hold of you?
No, I was at AWOL when that timer got a hold of me. I love AWOL too.
Okay.
They're another great meeting if anybody needs to know. They're off of Pearl Street. And,
okay.
They're off of Pearl.
Okay.
I went to the Dragon's Den, and it was just something magical there. And like I said, I was having a hard time. I'd get like 2 or 3 days sober, and then I would relapse. And then I get like 2 or 3 days sober. It's like, that's enough. That's like how much time it takes for the drugs and alcohol to leave your body. That's no wonder I could only make it that long, And so I finally, I locked myself in my house.
Okay.
And I wouldn't go anywhere. And I just stayed in the house. And I was scared to talk to anybody. I was scared to go outside because I would run into somebody. Hey, you want some free shit?
Yeah, you might get tempted.
Yeah, and it was for free. I couldn't even go to the liquor store because somebody had tried to rob the liquor store one night, and I stopped them. Okay. And the liquor store was like, "Hey, free booze for you!" And
holy crap, man!
Deal, man, this is great. I'm going to be a hero at every liquor store.
Yeah.
And, so I couldn't really go anywhere without, Like, I was terrified. Somebody would offer me booze and alcohol for free, and I would accept it, of course. So I locked myself in the apartment, and I would barely have enough energy to get up and, put some clothes on and do my hair. And by the time I did that and went to a meeting, I was exhausted. But rewind back before I even got to Dragon's Den, I got 8 days clean, and I realized that I had 8 days. I was like, oh my gosh, I have 8 days. And I better go to a meeting before I screw this up. And I went to the Dragon's Den, and I found a sponsor that night. I was like, I need a sponsor right now. And
something lit a fire under your ass.
Yes. I was astonished that I made it 8 days, because I was having such a struggle. And I just barricaded myself in the house, and I was like, wow, I really did it. I was like, I can do it some more, Yeah. And I got my sponsor. We started working through the steps right away, and I just came to life. And I think that's what it is. I found a willingness, and then I just ran with it. Yeah. And I just dove, like I did a swan dive. Woo!
So you did that 8 days, and it felt so good you wanted more. That's what I heard. Awesome.
Yes. Awesome. I had a taste of it. Yeah. And I just didn't want to look back. I just wanted to keep going.
Good for you.
Yeah. I loved it. And I just made connections. A really good friend of mine goes to the Dragon's Den, and we're still really super good friends. That's my best friend now. Yeah. And I don't want to give her name away because she's in the program too. But
I'm not saying her name either.
Yeah. But
it's not hard to figure out that you guys are really good friends.
Yeah. If you go to our meetings, it's not hard to figure out who my best friend is.
And don't you worry, she gonna be on soon, guys.
Good. Yeah.
I just want to get to know her a little bit better.
Get her on. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be a fun story. I already know it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. She's an amazing lady, and she saved my butt over and over again.
I believe it.
Just being accountable to. It's been wonderful to have a friend in recovery. My best friend in recovery. I can just call her up. She keeps me accountable. She's like, "Hey, your shit stinks pretty bad. You might want to take a look at yourself." And I have, I'm like, oh, okay. And I take a look at myself, and I realize where I'm at fault. And it's just been beautiful to have friends like that. And
it is.
Yeah. Remember the yucky friends we used to have?
Yeah. And they wouldn't give me constructive criticism. They would just cut me down. Right. Where, it wasn't your shit stinks. Like, Dion, you're a fucking asshole. Go away. It was more like that. Whereas, I don't even call my sponsor. I have 4 accountability buddies. I'm 5 years sober. I do this all day long. I want 4 accountability buddies. I want them. Yeah. It makes me feel good, because when I have people in my life that I'm accountable to, I feel responsible for that. So then my decisions are going to be on the level of good thoughts and things that I could do for people. Because I have a responsibility to that relationship. And since I feel that connection, as a human, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of tricking ourselves into being accountable, but who cares?
Yeah. Love it.
So, how much time do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I got sober on January 8th of 2019.
Okay. So
right after New Year's.
A little over 2 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Make sure my math sucks. You can be like, Dion, that's 12. So 2 years in, man, here's the thing, guys. I don't do quantity. I do quality. The only reason I ask is so that people could put things in time frames. I could really care less how much time you actually have, because right now, today, with what you're doing, What does it matter? I got up at 9:30 this morning. So if you got up before 9:30, you have more sobriety than me today.
Yeah, I got up at 6.
There you go. Yeah, it's all about, for me, it's all about quality.
Yeah,
The quality of your program.
that's right.
And sometimes, and I don't want to sit here and say, I've met old people or older and they're just, well, not necessarily. It's just that they did their part and it's your turn now, dumbass. It's called passing it on.
Right. Right.
So we take it for what it is. And fantastic. So, what's it like for you today? I mean, you're obviously happily married.
Yes. My husband has been through a lot, and so have my kids have been through a lot. My kids have been through the most of it. I will have to say, and I'm going to own it, you guys. I was not a good mom. I thought I was a good mom. I thought that I kept everybody alive and fed and clothed, and everybody, went to the doctor and stuff like that, but I was not there. I wasn't present. I wasn't there for my kids. I wasn't a good mom, and I can own that now. I can see that now.
Yeah.
Because now I have a relationship with my kids that's beautiful, and it's still growing. I still pray all the time. God, strengthen my relationship with my kids. Help us to grow together.
And that's gonna take time, and that's okay too, because anything. The way I see it is, if a relationship takes a little bit more time to develop, I think it's going to be stronger. Then you get to know that person better. Then you have inside jokes and things like that. I was an absentee father myself, and I felt horrible. I felt so much shame for so long. About a year ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm no longer an absentee father. And all the shame went away.
Yeah.
Now my kids can no longer manipulate me and get that. Ha ha. Ain't working no more. Welcome back.
Yeah, don't work anymore.
Well, that's like I put out a post on Facebook. It was Oprah Winfrey saying, handing out boundaries. Like, you get a boundary and you get a boundary. And that's kind of how I became. Everybody gets a boundary.
You get a boundary.
Hey, Oprah. Fantastic. So do you have any words of wisdom or any parting words that you'd like to let people know before we wrap up?
Oh, I would just say never give up before the miracle happens. I know it might have been said over and over again, or you might have heard it before, but really don't give up before the miracle happens.
Yeah.
There's so many times that I wanted to give up, and I look back at that point now and I'm like, wow, I am so grateful that I did not give up. So wherever you're at right now, keep going, and you have today, and take the beauty in today, and take what you can do with today, and by tomorrow it'll be something else, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing into something beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I never gave up, and I'm so grateful that God never gave up on me.
Me too.
God knew where I was the whole time. I tried to hide and run and all of that, and he just knew where I was the whole time, and he had a completely different plan for my life. And, and when we don't give up, we get to see what that beautiful plan is.
Absolutely. And we get to see we get to see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
I used to think grass was brown because my face was always planted in it. No, grass is green. So, and colors start to come alive, and then life begins to happen. Birds are chirping, and that's not annoying me. It actually sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
Just shut up. I got a hangover. I wasn't allowed to enjoy life. Man, horrible. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on and having a conversation with me. There's a lot of fun and getting to know you. I love stories because, even here, there's a lot of similarities for me, even though grew up in a different way. And I'm gonna finish this up with a don't give up either. And when we talk about waiting for the miracle to happen, what we're saying is there'll be a day when the obsession for alcohol will leave.
Mm-hmm.
You'll turn around one day and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
That's the miracle we're talking about. And it's going to be your first of many. First of many.
Yes.
Then you get your kids back. Your wife enjoys your company.
Yeah.
This is kind of how I describe it. When I first came into the program, I didn't have anybody that would carry my casket. Nope.
Yeah.
Now people will be clamoring over themselves to get to my casket.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Or at least I hope so. You know, I'd at least have one person.
Yeah.
Progress. All right, guys and guys and gals, thank you everybody for tuning in today. What a great Friday night, man. Our lives are so much different. And I do know that tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up glad that I didn't drink the night before.
Yeah.
I never woke up sober wishing I'd drank the night before. Anybody? Nope. Oh, that's a good place. All right, guys, gals, thanks for being here. I love you all. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.